Right, let's have a look and see if this actually stays working for now. At least I'm finally on pizza. At least I've finally sorted that out. Anyway, let's go on to another movie. So, we got ourselves Brightburn. Now, Brightburn is one of those films that it had a great concept. Basically, what if Superman was evil? What if we had an evil Superman? And the film gives us that. But spoiler alert, it don't go too well. It is a film that I was very much looking forward to. I was very much looking forward to it last year, but there were just so many stupid things that were done in this film. Like his dad, for one, tries to blow his head off with a gun, even though he's never bled in his entire life. Yeah, it was interesting, to say the least. Now, I can't really say too much about this film because I had a good concept. It was rated R, and it had some good kills. It had some good gore. It was nice to see Badge from Breaking Bad in there, but other than that, this was filled with stupid decisions. The mum character was so frustrating. Like, she is believing in her son past the point of any sort of rationale, normality. But this does have redeemable qualities, unfortunately. It does have some super kills. Like, you wonder what it would look like if Superman just lasered someone's head off? You get that. Getting hit by Superman going at that speed, you would splatter into a million pieces. And he just cold-heartedly, mean-spiritedly drops his mum at the end and smashes the whole airplane. Then we got a Billie Eilish song at the end. It has its charm to it, but it's a very disappointing movie, and that's why it is in my worst of the decade, just because it just lacked any sort of fun. Now, this is a film not many you would have heard of. It's Brotherhood. So, there was a sequence of films: Kidulthood, Adulthood, and Brotherhood. Kidulthood was about these teenagers in London, and it ends with Noel Clarke's character killing someone. Adulthood, Noel Clarke's character is getting out of jail and seeing people again. And it has this open-ended ending, and I've always wondered, what if there was a third one? Be careful what you wish for, because this film was a mess. For one, the character he kills in the first one, his girlfriend is pregnant with a kid. And in the second one, he sees her again because there's people after him. And she shows him the kid saying, "She got my dad because of you." Proper hating him, like full on hate and spite in her voice. This one, he's busy mates with her. And him and the daughter are very close. And he's got his own missus now. And it's just stupid. He kills her boyfriend, and she goes from hating him to just laughing about it, saying, "Oh, she has to know one day." It's like, what, he's going to casually mention one day to her, like, "Hey, by the way, your dad's dead because of me. I hit him with a baseball bat and he internally bled to death." Yeah, nice try, movie. Nice try to get me to support you. Then this girl wants to use charges, so he lets her into his, and she just strips naked and tries to bone him. He doesn't even take much convincing. He just bones her, gets filmed, and that's what happens there. And everyone just loves this character, Sam Peel. Everyone goes from hating him in Adulthood to loving him in this one, and the film jumps the shark by killing his mum off. It is honestly a frustrating mess. This is one of those where you watch it with the boys. That's what you do. You watch it with the boys, and that's it. It's something that I wish I would never got now in hindsight, but You live and you learn. Then we go on to the first animated worst of Cars 2. This is easily Pixar's worst film. Let's make this race car from Cars to a spy movie. Let's give a whole lot more of Mater. It's just basically a spy movie set within the Cars universe, and it all just doesn't work at all. And rightfully so, much of it is retconned in the third one. The third one is arguably the best of all three, which is a rare thing. Usually the third one's the downfall, but the third one improved upon the first one, and definitely sorted the second one out. Heck, I don't even think they reference the second one in that one. I really don't think they do. Let me know in the comments, chat, but I really don't think they reference Cars 2 and Cars 3 at all. That's my third whiskey. Starting to feel it a little bit now. And despite all that pizza I ate, which is an interesting one. Let's pour you out. So next up. Oh yeah, I'm not even podcast 2 in the ranking yet. I mean, I'm gonna say, watch what you do. It's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but it's fun, and that's what we want from movies at the end of the day. Out of the commitments, Chipwreck can go straight in the fuck this movie section. Honestly, the whole beat subplot, these Chipmunk movies just got worse and worse as time went on. There are people that are allegedly living in this wild jungle for years, yet they still have perfectly made up eyes and combed hair. It's just a mess. It's just going through the films that came out in the decade. There's some that I've literally left off because I've never seen them, but this one I did unfortunately see whilst I was under the influence, and it's still not enjoyable that way. So that is going straight in fuck this movie because I couldn't even enjoy it while intoxicated. Now we go into another recent film, Countdown. Right. Horror is full of iconic female characters. Heck, even Stranger Things has introduced Nancy and Eleven as two iconic female characters. There's also Laurie Strode. There's original Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. The final girl trope is a big thing in horror movies, and a lot of them are absolute badasses. Emily Blunt is a badass in A Quiet Place, is one of the newest badass women in horror. The lead character in Ready or Not, whose name I completely forgotten, she's a badass. Basically what I was saying is, despite all this raging out lack of female opportunities in cinema, the one genre that is not struggling for that is horror movies. Horror movies are very good at making a woman look strong and independent. Now maybe there's some sexism behind it because it's probably along the lines of a woman that we see this terrify and men can square up or whatever, but that's a whole another discussion for maybe a future podcast. But the fact is, you don't need to shoehorn in a Me Too movement thing into a film about a phone app that counts down to your death. Now, credits where it's due. When I first saw the concept of this film, I thought, well, say if you did have an app that told you exactly when you died, what are the odds that, say I got an app and I said I'm going to die next week, I'm obviously going to live that last week as hard as I can. So what if the cause of my death at the end of that week is because of the knowledge of knowing I'm going to die in a week, so I just party hard, and it's something to do with me partying hard, which is something I wouldn't have done previously to knowing that knowledge, and that's what's killed me, if you see what I mean. Basically, what if it's your actions leading up to your death that caused it? But this film does nip that right in the bud. I appreciate the film for that. Basically, this app does tell you when you're going to die. It tells you how you're going to, like, when you're going to die naturally. You are naturally going to die on this day. But if you actively try and avoid that death, if you figure out, like, something, say you're getting a train home on the Friday and it says you're going to die on Friday, you're like, oh, I'm just not going to get on the train. I'm just not going to get on this train then. And it turns out it's that train crashing that kills you. Well, then a demon just decides to mess with you and eventually does kill you. So, it did that very well. it addressed that aspect very well. However, this film failed to get me to root for many of these characters. The app is an interesting idea, but it feels like this app idea should be made at least 10 years ago when apps started becoming a thing where people always like, there's an app for that. Always. Now, oh God. I don't know. It is. I'm honestly bored of talking about this film already. I'm not gonna lie. This film bores me. Struggling to think of things about it is legitimately boring me right now. Countdown is fun though. Watch it inebriated, because even watching it, there's at least some funny elements in it. Like if you're a little bit giddy, then it works a little bit better. But other than that, it's a weak film, and it's not going to change that at all. Now, we get onto the Despicable Me 3. Worst of the Despicable Me trilogy. It's been done to death, this franchise. It ends up being him and his brother. Nice little side plot. You obviously get your Minions side plot as well. Unfortunately, it just doesn't do the job it should be doing, and it fails on many levels. And for this reason alone, Despicable Me is going to go into... This is going to go into Intoxicated as well. I don't think it's a legitimately felt this movie. I did get some enjoyment from it. I did get some enjoyment from it, but the fact that they were clearly struggling to get any sort of idea on what they wanted these characters to do just says a lot about this particular movie. Moving on, we're going to go into another fuck this movie category, the Emoji Movie. The definition of soullessness in Hollywood. The absolute definition of it. And yeah, it just does a very poor job of bringing any sort of charm or character to this franchise. And that's just simply it. Moving swiftly on, because we just don't want to talk about the Emoji Movie. We pretend that Emoji Movie did not happen at all. And we're going to Flatliners. Now this has redeemable quality. Ellen Page's performance in this is fantastic. She is brilliant, but she dies halfway through. So you're left with these shells of characters. You have the cocky fuckboy. You have this nerdy girl that's scared of her mum that suddenly gets empowered and screws the cocky boy loudly so her mum can hear. You have Diego Luna having some weird romance angle. There is just a lot about this film that doesn't work. I mean, the idea about life or death is an interesting one. Didn't even know there was an original. Apparently the original was very good. They have Kiefer Sutherland in this again, but apparently he's got the same character name, but it's not the same character. It's a weird one, it is Flatliners. But I think I enjoyed it slightly more than most people did. I didn't hate it as much as everyone else did, but I can see why it was a shit film. It didn't enrage me like it did to some other movie review YouTubers out there. Then we got Geostorm. This is going in the Intoxicated menu as well, because what do you expect? Geostorm is a terrible movie. It's basically the same guy that made Day After Tomorrow again. He does the exact same thing on a global scale, having these massive geostorms constantly. And it has some fun set pieces. It's a dumb movie that isn't good. You know it's not going to be good. It is still worse than I expected. But it's dumb. It's just full of dumbness. I don't think it's as bad as 2012. But that came out in 2009 to 2012. So unfortunately I could not include that on the list of worst of the decade. So Geostorm had to take the spot, but come to stop with these natural disaster movies because they do not work. They look stupid, they look shoddy, they look not cheap. But they do. It's weird how much budget they can put into these and everything just still looks cheap. So that's my logic for that one. And then moving swiftly onwards again, we're going to go into Gringo. Now Gringo did not know what it wanted to be. It was basically Oh, God, I need my alcohol, man. I am not getting as right as I want to be. Maybe I'm just trying to fly through this. I'm not going for 2 hours again. Yeah, Gringo was a terrible movie. It had one redeemable character. So I'm going to put it in that because there's one character in it that is super likable. No other character in this film is likable at all. No one. The plot is stupid. There's basically these marijuana pills that are supposed to... I can't remember the full plot. It's something to do with smuggling, but basically it jumps between David Oyelowo like screaming like a little girl and making comedic moments to sad, oh, why has this happened to me? Why is my life always a piece of shit? And there's only one thing about this film that I liked, and it was a character play. I can't remember the character's name. Oh my god, I feel bad. It's played by a well-known actor though. But he's like this nature guy that is trying to protect him, and they just basically kill the only likable character in this film. So when you kill a character that's the only likable character in the film, you got to check out for the rest of the movie. And unfortunately, the fact that there's one likable character that I like in the movie, it's like a worse Don't Breathe for me. Don't Breathe was a fantastic concept with a terrifying villain, but only one likable protagonist, and when that protagonist died, that's what I nearly walked out of the cinema. But Don't Breathe had so much more in there, like depth and character-wise, that I could not place it in my bottom 50. But this was an awful film. It was one of my first reviews on YouTube, actually, if I remember correctly. I think it only got to like 5 views. I think it was blocked worldwide. Or was that The Commuter? I just remember there was a few films that were blocked early on in my YouTube days. I've been at this for over 2 years now. Can you believe that? Over 2 years I've just been pissing them out on fucking YouTube. I'm not even at 100 subscribers yet. Speaking of subscribers, if you just want to do that thing and click that subscribe button, it will be very much appreciated. Get me to 100 and I will start a Patreon page. Hangover Part 2. Intoxicated again. Like, it's Hangover. It was the exact same thing as the original. There's nothing original about this particular one. We just have another character added in there, and it's set in Bangkok. But it just repeats a lot of the same beats. Say what you want about Hangover 3, at least Hangover 3 tries to be a little bit different. And watching all three together, you don't really need Hangover Part 2. You never see Teddy ever again. It's sort of a wasted sequel. And for that reason alone, that just means it has to go in the bottom 50, because it almost was the franchise killer, but luckily Hangover Part 3 salvaged it somewhat, and we move on from there. Again, we got some buffering issues, so I am really sorry about that. Don't know why the Blake KBS is not like, what's going on here? The bar is literally screwing me right now. It's actually messing with me. We're all going to move swiftly on. I don't know how much of the stream is actually being caught on the stream right now, because I'm just getting nothing but a buffer line. But anyway, we have the new Hellboy from this year. Intoxicate. I enjoyed it a little bit, but I can see why people hated it. It's basically this mean-spirited film that fails on all levels when it comes to... Just watch the Del Toro films. I'm going to be lazy and say just watch the Del Toro films, because there's not a whole lot about this film I can say that hasn't already been said. It's got mean-spirited kills. The characters are very bland. Hellboy himself, apart from his relationship with his dad, he's a bit of an it. Well, he is supposed to be an asshole, because I've seen Del Toro films as well, but I don't know, man. There's just something about it that just... It doesn't click, and it's not something I go on my way to watch again. I'll watch both Del Toro films before I watch this one again. And then we're going to go on to Jigsaw. So, Saw had been out of our cinemas for several years. 2010 was the last one that came out. But they thought, we'll try and bring it back with Jigsaw. And it's supposed to be a reference to Jigsaw's first traps, like his first victims and all that malarkey. And it makes no sense because your original Saw, the original one, his traps are all practical. You can see these traps happening. Stupid things like just locking a guy in a cage filled with barbed wire. He's got a call through the barbed wire. That's obviously cut him to shreds. Feasible. Covering a guy in a room full of glass with writing a lot on the middle of the wall and covering them with highly flammable liquid. Perfectly feasible. Locking two guys in a bloody bathroom. Feasible. This one has a massive can opener trap. There's a stupid trapdoor trap. There's several saw blades. It feels like just throw saw blades into these films just because it's the Saw franchise. So like, we must have more saws. The first film has one saw in it. It's a hand saw. And the saw is used to cut a guy's foot off. And you don't even see it. You see him cut into the foot, but you only see his reaction and Anna's reaction. That's all you see. It's fantastic. And they decide to just make it more musty as time goes on, and Jigsaw is the icing on the cake, but I will say it is one redeemable quality. And that is, I did fanboy when Tobin Bell did show up. And just a spoiler twist, the actual game makes scene happening is a prequel, and his new apprentice is basically resetting up the bloody traps from back then. So again, it leads to the question, how the hell is Saw gone from these basic traps to these OP monstrosities of traps? Because that's what we get. It's some monstrosity traps. Right, let me just mess with this tier list ranking thing again, because I feel like we need to expand it a bit more. Here we go. There we go. Move it down a little bit, and we're sorted. Right, next up, we have another franchise killer one, Justice League. So Justice League was ambitious. So Man of Steel had mixed reactions. Batman vs Superman had mixed reactions. Wonder Woman was actually good, so we thought there might actually be some hope left for this franchise. Nope. Justice League single-handedly has killed the DCEU. Now, there have been films since, and it's very confusing what's actually going on with it now. Because Aquaman has since come out with Jason Momoa as the same actor, and that was pretty decent. And we've had Shazam since, and that was fantastic. So DC seems to be on the up and up, especially with the new Wonder Woman coming out later in the year. So who knows, maybe they are going to continue the story. I'm not entirely sure, but apparently they're just taking it slow out of time, pretending like Justice League hasn't happened. So the fact it's basically being erased from existence says quite a lot about the quality of this film, actually. And I'm not going to put it for this movie. It does have redeemable qualities in it. I really enjoyed the Flash in it. Gal Gadot is great as Wonder Woman. And hell, even Superman coming back and smiling made everyone stay for it. So for that reason alone, it has redeemable qualities. So it is something that you can watch if you wish to. Now, moving forward, got another franchise killer, Kick-Ass 2. Now, this is the film that I used to defend to the death. I love Kick-Ass 1. Nicolas Cage is fantastic in it. Chloe Grace Moretz. I thought she was going to be the next big thing. Unfortunately, she's not panned out that way for her. But her roles as Hit Girl and Abby and Let Me In were fantastic. And what do we get in this one? Stupid drama. Hit Girl retiring and doing sad text the whole time. Kick-Ass joining a weird gang of superheroes. The other real positive I can say, this is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is fantastic in this. I very much welcome his return in Sonic the Hedgehog because he has been gone way too long from our screens, and I very much look forward to working Jim Carrey back. But this was otherwise a complete mess of a film with Hit Girl moping the whole way. Chris Mintz-Plaza's motherfucker just... You never see him as a villain. You just never do. And now I'm going to put in the When You're Drunk thing because Jim Carrey's character is only in it for like 10-15 minutes of screen time, so there's not a whole lot that they could really do about this film. But hey ho, that is life for you. Now we're going to move on to this King Arthur film that I'm just going to put straight in the fuck this movie zone. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I don't know how to really describe this film. This is a Guy Ritchie film. And it's like a more edgy King Arthur, complete with a Mr. Baelish in it. Jude Law is the villain in it, and there's this weird thing with his daughter in it, and God, I'm getting drowsy. This is supposed to be waking me up, not putting me to sleep. God damn you, drink. But yeah. Oh, this just sucked. This film was a jumbled mess. I've not seen The Gentleman yet. I am very much looking forward to seeing The Gentleman. And yeah, it was. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about this movie. That's the problem with this worst of list. Unless you're properly hammered throughout the entire thing, you ain't really gonna enjoy. God, 6,000 frames dropped. This is a fun little stream. Moving on to my redeemable quality. Octavia Spencer is godlike in this. She is fantastic. Love Octavia. However, the whole way through I'm just thinking there's 5 of you and 1 of her. Just all of you rugby tackle her at once. But they never do that. And this whole plot of these kids, she basically wants revenge on these kids fucking over in school. I'm like, oh, what happened? It's like, well, you locked her in the closet and had her basically suck this guy off. Like, she thought was this hot guy that she really liked, but turns out it's this nerdy guy that was looking for his first blowjob. Bad taste. That was awful taste. Awful taste. And the fact that it's played off like a laugh, I think, it just rubbed me the wrong way, that whole sequence. And the fact that we have these teens go into a basement, being like, oh, she's a bit crazy, but we're going to still go around us and get absolutely smashed out of our heads. It just boggles the mind how dumb some characters can be. And this was the bottom of my 2019 list for quite some time. Holy hell, I actually got through the bottom 3. Yeah, Ma is the 3rd worst of the last year. Cat was the 2nd worst. Then we got Black Christmas. You can see here that the rankings seem to be quite consistent. So you know what? I'm quite happy with that. Moving on. The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Because the Hunger Games franchise was a thing that ended this decade. This Mockingjay Part 2 stuff happened. This one was literally 2 hours and a half worth of publicity stunts that led to some riots, and that is about it. And that is all I can really say about Hunger Games Mockingjay. It's just a dull film. You might enjoy it if you're drunk. Maybe you might enjoy it if you're under the influence. Because for the most part, the only thing I can really remember off the top of my head about the film is the mute character and her singing the "Are you coming to the tree?" I mean, that is a good moment, but for the most part, this film just dragged so much. It was one of those films that came out around the time of the double, so obviously you had Twilight Breaking Dawn having 2 parts, Harry Potter having 2 parts, and Mockingjay having 2 parts. And I'm pretty sure Mockingjay was the last one to do this. I don't feel like the Maze Runner franchise had it at 0. And I like how even the Darkest Minds trying to bring it back, and nah, it just weren't working. So yeah, I have a few drinks from watching this one, guys and gals, and non-binary folks of the world. Oh, here we go. Movie 43. Right to the top of the watching the influence category, because what can you say about movie 43? It is absolutely awful in every sense of the word. It is a garbage movie. It is worse than those parody spoof movies, but at the same time, people have fun with it. There is something about this film that all these actors were just conned into being in that has charm, and it works really well. So for that sake, it's having to go into watching The Influence, because it's just one of those films you have to just see to be believed. But by no means is it a good movie. It is absolutely garbage in every sense of the word. And yeah, end of Influence. Let's move on. Passengers is another one of those films that everyone really liked. I didn't like it. There was a better movie in here. A much better movie in here. So basically, Chris Pratt comes out of his Silo by accident because of a malfunction thing. He can't get back in. He starts to obsess over this frozen girl he keeps seeing called Aurora, played with Jennifer Lawrence. And he does compliment committing suicide at one point when he's all alone. But he does find Aurora's capsule when he decides to bring her out of hypersleep and lie that it was a malfunction. And it just basically becomes Stockholm Syndrome in space. This film was literally an excuse to get the two hottest actors in Hollywood to make out on screen. That's literally all this film existed for. And it's a shame because I love the nice slow burn sort of 2001 style where it could have been him or Jennifer Lawrence, but one of them just comes out in space by themselves. They're alone. You see it for a while, them just bantering with the droid, a bit Shining pace style. And then they're about to kill themselves, like you do see about half hour into the film, before they're stopped by the captain who tells them they can do something good. And they end up sacrificing themselves for the greater good, and the captain steers the ship in the right way. That would have been a nice way to end it. But unfortunately, no, we get this forced romance, and it's just so much better it could have been. I mean, I'll say doable quality. It's got some good set design. I can't say the performances are god awful. So, I wrote about it's a lot of fun. Now we go into Rings. Redeemable quality. Samara's at least good. Samara is still the same. Samara scared the shit out of us when we were younger. But for the most part, it's an awkward detective flick. The actual girl coming out of the TV looks more CG and fake than ever. There's a teacher just literally showing the class the video and getting them to pass it on to the next person and the next person. People getting the range for no reason. The girl, it's very inconsistent if Samara has good size or evenness. But she finds a natural dad in this one, and they find her natural grave. But there's just very few jump scares in this, and she goes out of her way to stop her friends from saving him. Well, the new guys from saving him. Oh my god, just remember the ending. So the ending is basically he lets her in. The video gets shared on a YouTube page because she is big on YouTube. And it gets spread around the world. Her skin starts peeling off in the shower. She pulls the mirror back. She's turning into Samara. Yeah, it's stupid. This film is stupid. You know what? Samara Sadoko is one of my favourite horror movie icons of all time. And yeah, you know what, Rings, you know what? You're not redeemable. You'll go into this fuck this movie category. I'm going to say above King Arthur and the Emoji Movie though. Let's put Assassin's Creed bottom of this. Let's see, what is the more... Fuck you, yeah. But you know what, that's about right. I think that is about right. Okay. We're getting there. Saw 3D is next. And this goes right into, you know what, redeemable quality. Simply because the ending is beautiful. Let's not talk about the fact that our main detective is so bland and just gets killed off in the blandness of saw traps. Let's not talk about the fact that the actual saw traps aren't the best in this one, apart from the one of Owen Chester Bennington. Rest in peace, good man. Let's not even talk about that just because it's a slash movie by the end where Hoffman just starts cutting to pieces every single character that's ever existed in this franchise. Basically, their way of saying, right, we're not going to make any more, is let's kill every Tom, Dick and Harry who has been in this franchise. But the Dr. Gordon reveal at the very end, made by Carrie Elways, picking up the saw after locking Hoffman in the bathroom, looking at the saw and saying, I don't think so, before he chucks it back in the room. Bruh, that is a flawless moment. And I absolutely love it. Now let's move further on, because God knows there's so much to get through. Season of the Witch, Nick Cage, Ron Perlman, Witch Exorcism. It is a messy film. It is a very messy, bloody film that I had the misfortune to see. Came out in the early 2010s. So for that reason alone, because of the battle between Nick Cage and Ron Perlman, you can have a few drinks and you can enjoy it like that. Next up, Snatched, with fucking Amy Schumer in there. Why she keeps getting work, I do not know. Sorry about this, guys. I'm tired. I hardly slept last night at all. I almost cancelled the stream, but I was like, no, I'm gonna have a few drinks, get my mood up, and love it. And I'm just getting drowsy now. Like, Jesus, I am getting a bit exhausted. But we're gonna power through and just briefly go over most of these. So, Snatched. What's drunk? Because there is one scene that does make me laugh. And I feel like I might laugh a bit more if I had a couple of drinks in me at the time. Suburbicon. This was just a weird Matt Damon film. I don't know what Matt Damon was doing during this stage of his career, but he was... Oh my god, that film was just a mess. There's one likeable character. There's some fights going off. I just don't feel like this film was as clever as it tried to be. So with that in mind, it's going into the fuck this movie category because fuck Suburbicon. Suburbicon is garbage. I'm surprised they didn't put downsizing on here, to be honest with you, but gotta do what you gotta do. Now, Suicide Squad, there is redeemable qualities to do this. And one of those is not Will Smith. So, can I just say, why is everyone saying Will Smith is the best part of this movie? Any actor that plays Joker or Batman or Superman, they are getting like watched under a microscope. Every part of the performance is being looked upon gently. He plays Deadshot in this one. Now, I'm not a big comic reader, but I do read a few Suicide Squad comics, and the consistent with Deadshot is that he is an absolute asshole, an absolute dickhead. Yet somehow, some way, him just playing Will Smith and not playing Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, won people over. You're going to praise for anything, praise performances of Viola Davis, Jay Hernandez, and Margot Robbie. Because those characters were done fantastically. Everything else was a chopping mess, tried way too hard to be Guardians of the Galaxy, and it just didn't work. And Suicide Squad is one of those curious cases of cinema. It really is one of those curious cases that we might never learn how it got to the point of craziness, really. Right, I'm just going to fly through these briefly, guys, because I am literally dying. Wow, why am I so tired today? I thought whiskey would have picked me up, but apparently not. So let's power through these really quickly. Cloverfield Paradox can go in the fuck this movie section because this movie ruined everything about the Cloverfield franchise, and it's disgraceful. It's the one film I'm cheating on because this film is a cheat. It was never released theatrically. It was just a Netflix thing released straight after the Super Bowl. But this film was an insult. The fact that they threw in the clover at the end and I still wasn't impressed. I thought, what the fuck is this bullshit? Says a lot, really. Dark Tower, gonna go redeemable qualities because Idris Elba rocks the trench coat, and McConaughey is a fun little Kilgrave if he was to really kill himself. It was basically Kilgrave was McConaughey's villain, so that was an interesting one indeed. So that goes into the redeemable quality category. The First Purge was a mess, an absolute clusterfuck of a movie. God, it was... There's the glowing eyes for one that just makes the rest of them look stupid by comparison. Skeletor is the most obvious psychopath ever, and no one seems scared that he's walking around looking crazy all the time. Yeah, fuck that movie just because it tries too hard to be good and it just doesn't work on any level here. The girl on the train, redeemable quality here. Emily Blunt is fantastic in this film. This is the performance of a lifetime. It was an otherwise lackluster film that let me down big time because I was really looking forward to the deal with some of the characters, especially the one that was having the affair, but it turns out her only role was to be half naked from the waist down for most of the film. So, but Emily Blunt playing this crazy alcoholic was fantastic. Human Centipede cheating here, but it got a limited release in the UK in 2010, so it counts. Human Centipede. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Fuck this movie. Transformers. Which one's this? Oh, this is the latest one. So this one is a Fox movie purely because it did some of its marketing that made it look half decent, made people want to give it a chance. But by God, did they lie and make us all feel like fools. And there's nothing redeemable about this film I can think off the top of my head. The Mummy, redeemable quality. I love Sophia Boutella as the Mummy, and I enjoyed Russell Crowe's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character. It was a messy film. It single-handedly started and killed the Dark Universe franchise by Universal, which could have been good, but there we go. You can't have everything. But Sophia Boutella was fantastic in this, as was Russell Crowe. I would have loved to see what these guys could have done in later films, but alas, we will never get to see it. The Ritual, redeemable quality. It's just the last third of the film really annoyed me. There's a monster at the end of this reveal that literally looks like... Imagine that Pokemon that basically, say I'm its head, and there's like the two shells that goes around the ear, so it's sort of like this. Imagine that on a horse's body. That is basically the villain in this. And yeah, the way the last film went, I was like, right, either both the remaining ones have got to survive or none of them's got to survive. But one does make it, and it just feels like a waste of a movie. I felt like I wasted 2 hours just going and watch that movie. Tower Heist, watch One Under the Influence. It's bland. It's got Eddie Murphy and Ben Stiller doing their best, but it just was a comedic film about doing over your boss that just didn't really stick. And that is just unfortunate. Transformers, Dark of the Moon. Yeah, fuck that movie because fuck Transformers in general. Unsane. Again, that movie can go fuck itself. It was literally an iPhone movie. And just the logic of, oh, I've got this stalker, now I'm in the mental hospital because they think I'm lying about the stalker, I'm being detained for a week. Oh, the stalker just happens to be working at the same fucking mental institution and has taken the place of someone else that worked there. It is honestly ridiculously crazy how bad this film is. Moving on, Wish Upon. Fuck this movie again. Because the whole concept of her is she has torn up that her mum killed herself when she was a kid. She is torn up about it. So you'd think her first wish is, I wish mum didn't kill herself. And that is literally her fifth or sixth wish out of 7. There's a lot of wishes in this that she has, and she uses it on dumb stuff like, let's the most popular boy in school fall madly in love with me. Let's have my bully just rot and eat like a skin disease. And basically every time she makes a wish, it comes true, but a blood sacrifice has been made, and it's always someone or something that's close to her. Yet, this one boy that she likes, they go to see his sister, and she meets her once. She does a bit of exposition, she gets killed off. And it's all PG-13 deaths as well, which just never goes well. Slender Man can join Black Christmas in the fuck this movie category. This was a film that was made 9 years too late. And, you want to know my full thoughts on it, like go check out my actual Slenderman review that I did last year. Not last year, like 2018. It was an experience to sit through. The fact that I had two guys next to me yammering away the entire way through the film, I didn't care, says a lot about how fucking god awful Slenderman was. But you know what, Slenderman is just above Black Christmas, because Black Christmas, that is one true, just like, yo, what the fuck was that movie? And finally, Pixels, redeemable quality, because as much as the film is dumb, as much as Adam Sandler is trying so hard to be cool, as much as Peter Dinklage plays to be the bad guy, even Calm Byers the bad guy, the actual graphics of the actual characters are really good. Like, the Pac-Man actually looked really good on screen. So, I'm satisfied. In terms of how it looks, I'm satisfied with how that went. Anyway, that has been me flying through my tier list. Sorry that I've not been really with it. I had stream problems earlier, and now I think it's like last night catching up on me. This is the tier list, so a lot of the worst of the last decade have got redeemable qualities, and there are a few fun ones to watch when drunk. But goddamn, I don't know if it's because I was flying through them all, but the latter half of these 50 films just went right into the fucking movie. But yeah, I'm moving Slenderman up. Like, Black Christmas can have its own shit tier, because that movie is an absolute disgrace. You know, I wish I put Assassination Nation in this, because there was actually stuff in there that was decent, and it was worse than probably a few of these movies in here. But anyway, guys, before I get off, just to keep you updated on my channel. If you like what I do on the channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button and follow these relevant social media things. The Instagram is not up to date. The actual up to date Instagram is in the description down below. But yeah, I very much look forward to bringing the reviews back. The reviews are coming back. Again, the BAFTA live reaction video is cancelled, because I will be in a meeting at that time in a side project. And yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing, but unfortunately I'm going to miss the BAFTAs, and it's a shame, but I will still try and do an Oscars reaction. And review-wise, coming up, I've got a lot of things I need to catch up on. If there's anything you'd like me to review, please let me know in the chat or in the comments below, depending on you watch this stream back. And I will probably do the American Wedding review that I didn't do yesterday because of battery issues, and that will probably come out. So I feel like I'm going to have a busy Sunday. But right now, I'm just not feeling the greatest, guys. But I do thank you for joining me, as always. And I hope you guys enjoy your Friday. UK leaves the EU in half an hour, so I'm probably sleeping during that. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for stopping by the stream. Hope you did enjoy, and I'll be doing a proper list this year at the very end of the year. But until next time, guys, this is that Spikehead Podcast, signing off.